Speaking of the time leading up to the second coming of Jesus, Luke chapter 21 verses 25 through 26 reads, "And there shall be signs in the sun, and in the moon, and in the stars, and upon the earth distress of nations, with perplexity, the sea and the waves roaring, men's hearts failing them for fear, and for looking after those things which are coming on the earth, for the powers of heaven shall be shaken." This prophecy includes predictions that have been fulfilled, are being fulfilled, and will be fulfilled. For example, the signs in the sun, moon, and stars have already been fulfilled. Revelation chapter 6 verses 12 through 13 gives us more details about these signs. It states, "And I beheld, when he had opened the sixth seal, and lo, there was a great earthquake, and the sun became black as sackcloth of hair, and the moon became as blood, and the stars of heaven fell unto the earth, even as a fig tree casteth her untimely figs, when she is shaken of a mighty wind." These signs in heaven are preceded by a great earthquake, which actually took place in 1755. This is known as the Great Lisbon Earthquake. It affected an area of at least 4 million square miles, and it was felt in Europe, Africa, and America. The earthquake began at 9:30 a.m. on November the 1st, 1755, and was centered in the Atlantic Ocean, about 200 kilometers west-southwest of Cape St. Vincent. The total duration of shaking lasted 10 minutes and was comprised of 3 distinct jolts. Effects from the earthquake were far-reaching. The worst damage occurred in the southwest of Portugal. Lisbon, the Portuguese capital, was the largest and the most important of the cities damaged. Severe shaking was felt in North Africa, and there was heavy loss of life in Fez and Mequinez. Moderate damage was done in Algiers and in southwest Spain. Shaking was also felt in France, Switzerland, and northern Italy. A devastating fire following the earthquake destroyed a large part of Lisbon, and a very strong tsunami with waves said to be 60 feet high caused heavy destruction along the coasts of Portugal, southwest Spain, and western Morocco. The magnitude of the earthquake was believed to be 9.0. Estimates place the death toll in Lisbon alone to be up to 100,000, making it one of the deadliest earthquakes in history. And the earthquake happened on a holiday when the churches and convents were full of people, very few of whom escaped. 25 years later, the next prophetic sign took place, the darkening of the sun and the moon becoming like blood. May 19, 1780 is when this prophecy was fulfilled. It is infamously known as New England's Dark Day. An unusual darkening of the day sky was observed over the New England states and parts of Canada. The darkness was so complete that candles were required from noon on. It did not disperse until the middle of the next night. According to Professor Samuel Williams of Harvard College, the darkness was seen at least as far north as Portland, Maine, and extended southwards to New Jersey. However, the darkness was not witnessed in Pennsylvania. The night following the disappearance of the darkness, a full moon appeared and was red in color. About the sign of the stars of heaven falling to earth. This prophecy was strikingly fulfilled in the Great Meteoric Shower of November the 13th, 1833. A tempest of falling stars broke over the earth. The sky was scored in every direction with shining tracks and illuminated with majestic fireballs. At Boston, the frequency of meteors was estimated to be about half of that of flakes of snow in an average snowstorm. Their numbers were quite beyond counting, but as it waned, a reckoning was attempted from which it was computed on the basis of that much diminished rate that 240,000 meteors must have been visible during the 9 hours they continued to fall. Continuing on with the signs in Luke chapter 21 verses 25 through 26, it talks about distress of nations on the earth with perplexity. That's a perfect description of the state of the world, with the occurrence of terrorist attacks and financial troubles in several countries, including Greece and Russia. Not to mention, there was a recently published article from the Telegraph stating that the euro currency may be in danger of failing. The text from Luke goes on to mention men's hearts failing them for fear. Men's hearts failing may refer to heart attacks, and it's interesting to note that according to the Centers for Disease Control, heart disease is the #1 cause of death around the world, with 7.4 million people dying of it in 2012. The passage in Luke also talks about the sea and the waves roaring. This may be a reference to hurricanes, and it's interesting to note that the 2005 Atlantic hurricane season was the most active in history, shattering numerous records. The impact of the season was widespread and ruinous, with an estimated 3,913 deaths and record damage of about $159.2 billion. Of the storms that made landfall, 5 of the season's 7 major hurricanes, Dennis, Emily, Katrina, Rita, and Wilma, were responsible for most of the destruction. The Mexican states of Quintana Roo and Yucatan and the U.S. states of Florida and Louisiana were each struck twice by major hurricanes. Cuba, the Bahamas, Haiti, Mississippi, Texas, and Tamaulipas were each struck once, and in each case brushed by at least one more. The most catastrophic effects of the season were felt on the United States Gulf Coast, where a 30-foot storm surge from Hurricane Katrina caused devastating flooding that inundated New Orleans, Louisiana, and destroyed most structures on the Mississippi coastline. And in Guatemala, where Hurricane Stan combined with an extratropical system to cause deadly mudslides. The Bible speaks of signs in the heavens, distress on the earth, and bodies of water raging out of control. These signs have been fulfilled, and some are still ongoing. The last sign in Luke chapter 21, verses 25 through 26, is the powers of heaven being shaken. This will occur at the second coming of Jesus, when the voice of God shall announce the coming of the Son of God. The power of his voice will shake the heavens. We are almost there, folks. Are you ready? If not, I suggest that you accept Jesus as your Lord and Savior and follow His word so that you will be prepared for His return. I'm going to include a link in the description box to some free online Bible study guides to help you do just that. God bless.